Hello dear students, this is Vishal sir from Ikra High School. Today we'll be concluding part 2 of chapter 6 from NCERT syllabus standard 9. Let's start reading the topic Animal Tissues. When we breathe, we can actually feel the movement of our chest. How do this body part move? For this we have specialized cell called muscle cells. The contraction and relaxation of this cell result in movement. During breathing, we inhale oxygen. Where does this oxygen go? It is absorbed in the lungs and then is transported to all the body cells through blood. Why do cells need oxygen? The function of mitochondria we studied earlier provided a clue to this question. Blood flows and carries various substances from one part of the body to the other. For example, it carries oxygen and food to all the cells. It also collects waste from all parts of the body and carries them to the liver and kidney for disposal. Blood and muscles are both examples of tissue found in our body. On the basis of the function they perform, we can think of different types of animal tissue such as epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue and nervous tissue. Blood is a type of connective tissue and muscle forms muscular tissue. So in this section, children, we are going to study about animal tissues. The four main type of animal tissue that we are going to study is epithelial, connective, muscular and nervous system. Let's start with epithelial tissues. The covering or protective tissue in the animal body are epithelial tissues. Epithelium covers most organ and cavities with the body. Epithelium covers most organ and cavities within the body. It also forms a barrier to keep different body systems separate. The skin, the lining of the mouth, the lining of the blood vessels, lung alveoli and kidney tubules are all made up of epithelial tissues. Epithelial tissue cells are tightly packed and form a continuous sheet. They have only a small amount of cementing material between them and almost no intercellular spaces. Obviously, anything entering or leaving the body must cross at least one layer of epithelium. As a result, the permeability of cells of various epithelia plays an important role in regulating the exchange of material between the body and the external environment and also between different parts of the body. Regardless of the type, all epithelium is usually separated from the underlying tissue by an extracellular fibrous basement membrane. So dear students, epithelial tissue may be considered as a protective tissue or differentiated tissue or a tissue that differentiates all the different organs. It forms the lining between the two different organs. You can separate the stomach with the intestine, even liver, pancreas, all those are having a separate part, all those are having a separate layer because of this first tissue, epithelial tissue. So anything transferring from one organ to the other must cross at least one of the layer of the epithelial tissue. Different epithelia shows differing structure that correlate with their unique function. For example, in cell lining, blood vessel or lung alveoli, where transportation of substance occurs through a selectively permeable surface, there is a simple flat kind of epithelium. This is called simple squamous epithelium. Squama means scale of skin. Simple squamous epithelial cells are extremely thin and flat and form a delicate lining. The esophagus and the lining of the mouth are also covered with squamous epithelium. The skin which protects the body is also made up of squamous epithelium. Skin epithelial cells are arranged in many layers to prevent wear and tear. Since they are arranged in a pattern of layer, the epithelium is called stratified squamous epithelium. So now we are studying the different type of epithelium tissue. The first type of epithelium is squamous. That means the scale of the skin. The first simple layer, it forms the upper layer of any of the body organ, and it is very thin and flat and has a delicate lining. The organ that have squamous epithelium are the lining of the mouth and esophagus. Skin which protect the body is also made up of squamous epithelium. Sometimes that skin has to go through many wear and tear. So for that, if a squamous epithelium is there, it may be damaged many times and may be unrepairable also. So that way, skin provides another layer of epithelium tissue. It has many layers of squamous epithelium tissue. That is why it is called stratified squamous epithelium, where absorption and secretion occur as in the inner lining of the intestine. Tall epithelium cells are present. So in the part of the intestine where there is a transfer and absorption and secretion of materials, tall epithelium cell tissues are there. These columnar pillar-like epithelium facilitate movement across the epithelial barrier. In the respiratory tract, the columnar epithelial tissue also has cilia, which has hair-like projection on the outer surface of epithelial cells. These cilia can move and their movement pushes the mucus forward to clear it. So the mucus that comes out from lungs to our nose and we throw it out in the environment is due to this columnar epithelial tissue, as it has cilia, and that cilia pushes the mucus outside the body. This type of epithelium is thus ciliated columnar epithelium because it has cilia and it is pillar-like structure. So that's why we call it ciliated columnar epithelium. Cuboidal epithelium, that means cube-shaped cells, forms the lining of kidney tubules, duct of salivary gland where it provides mechanical support. Epithelial cell often require additional specialization as gland cell, which can secrete substance at the epithelial surface. Sometimes a portion of epithelial tissue folds inward and a multicellular gland is formed. This is called glandular epithelium. So dear students, in cuboidal epithelium, which is the lining of kidney tubules and the salivary ducts, it provides mechanical support and it has a special gland which secretes at the surface of secretes substances at epithelial surface, and this epithelial tissue folds inward, and that's why it forms like a cuboidal epithelial, and that is why it is called glandular epithelium. The next tissue in animal is connective tissue. The simple and the foremost is blood. In every living organism, blood is a connective tissue. Blood is a type of connective tissue. Why would be it called connective tissue? A clue is provided in the introduction of this chapter. Now let us look at this type of tissue in some more detail. The cells of connective tissue are loosely spaced and embedded in the intercellular matrix. The matrix may be jelly-like, fluid, dense or rigid. Nature of the matrix differs in concordance with the function of particular connective tissues. So why do we consider blood as a connective tissue? Because it connects the whole body. It has a special function of transportation of oxygen, carbon dioxide, minerals, water and many other things. So that is why we call blood as a connective tissue. Blood has a fluid called plasma, in which red blood cells and white blood cells and platelets are suspended. So the blood that you see or you have in your body contains three main things. Red blood cells, which gives the color of the blood, that is due to the hemoglobin. White blood cells, it protects your body from pathogenic organisms. And platelets. The plasma contain protein, salt and hormone. Blood flows and transport gases, digested food, hormone and waste material to different parts of the body. Bone is another example of connective tissue. So the first one was blood, which connected the whole body. Now we have another connective tissue, bone, as it forms the framework that supports the body and also anchors the muscles and supports the main organ of the body. It is a strong and non-flexible tissue. Bone cells are embedded in hard matrix that is composed of calcium and phosphorus compound. So our bones are made up of two minerals, calcium and phosphorus. Two bones can be connected to each other by another type of connective tissue called ligaments. That tissue is very elastic and has a considerable length. Ligament contain very little matrix and connect bone with bones. Then we have tendons, which connects muscles to bones and are another type of connective tissue. Tendons and fibrous tissue with great strength but limited flexibility. Another type of connective tissue is cartilage, which has vitally spaced cell. The solid matrix is composed of protein and sugar. Cartilage smoothen bone surface at joint and also present in nose, ear, trachea and larynx. We can fold the cartilage of the ear but we cannot bend the bones in our arms. Why? Because cartilage are soft bones and they are flexible. The another reason is it has spaced cell. Areolar connective tissue is found between the skin and muscle, around blood vessel and nerve and in the bone marrow. It fills the space inside the organ, supports internal organ and help in repair of tissue. Where are fat stored in our body? Fat storing adipose tissue is found below the skin and between the internal organ. The cells of this tissue are filled with fat globules. Storage of fat also let it act as an insulator. So during winter season, you can bear the chilling winter due to the fat present in your body. You can maintain the body temperature with respect to the environment temperature due to this fat present in between your skin and the internal organ. Next tissue we are having is muscular tissue. Muscular tissue consists of elongated cells also called muscle fibers. This tissue is responsible for movement in our body. Muscles contain special protein called contractile protein which contract and relax to cause movement. We can move some muscles by conscious will. Muscle present in our limbs move when we want to and stop when we so decide. Such muscles are called voluntary muscles. These muscles are also called skeletal muscle as they are most attached to bones and help in body movement. Under the microscope, these muscles show alternate light and dark bands or striation when stained appropriately. So when you add color to that tissue for observing it under the microscope, you will find striation. That means the band that you see in the diagram. As a result, they are also called striated muscles. The cell of this tissue are long, cylindrical, unbranched and multinucleated. That means a single cell contains many nucleus. The movement of the food in the alimentary canal or the contraction and relaxation of blood vessel are involuntary movements. That means you cannot control these movements. We cannot really start them or stop them simply by wanting to do so. Smooth muscles or involuntary muscle control such movement. They are also found in the iris of the eye, in uterus and in the bronchi of the lungs. The cells are long with pointed ends and uninucleated, having a single nucleus. They are also called unstriated muscles. Why do we call it? Because it does not have striation just like the muscle cells. The muscles of the heart show rhythmic contraction and relaxation throughout the life. These involuntary muscles are called cardiac muscles. Heart muscles are cylindrical, branched and uninucleated. Then we have another nerve tissue known as nervous tissue. All cells possess the ability to respond to stimuli. However, cells of nervous tissue are highly specialized for being stimulated and then transmitting the stimulus very rapidly from one place to another within the body. The brain, spinal cord and nerves are composed of nervous tissue. So nervous tissues are such tissue which makes our body aware of its environment, and it sends and receives signal from the brain and the spinal cord. The cells of this tissue are called nerve cells or neurons. A neuron consists of a cell body with a nucleus and cytoplasm from which long thin hair-like parts arise. So here in the diagram you can see the neuron unit of a nervous system. The first part is the body, cell body. It contains a nucleus and the cytoplasm around it and thread-like structures emerging from it called dendrites. These dendrites receive signal from the environment and it passes that signal through electrical impulse through the way of axon and to the nerve ending, which passes it to the next neuron. Usually, each neuron has a single long part called the axon and many short branch part called dendrites. An individual nerve may be made up of a meter long. So, a single nerve can have the length of at least a meter. Many nerve fiber bound together by connective tissue make up a nerve. The signal that passes along the nerve fiber is called nerve impulse. It is an electrical impulse, so the information that we receive from the environment to the brain are sent through electrical impulses. Nerve impulse allow us to move our muscles when we want to. The functional combination of nerve and muscle tissue is fundamental to most animals. These combination enable animal to move rapidly in response to stimuli. So dear students, this is the end of the chapter. Keep studying. Thank you.